Hi guys, today we're going to start out by looking at this shape right here, which is a right triangle. And this shape is a right triangle because of this angle right here, which is a right angle, which is an angle that's 90 degrees. And a lot of times we'll see that little box in the corner that you see right here, and that shows that it is a right angle. That's the geometric way to say right angle. Now, in terms of this right triangle, today we're going to talk about how to find the perimeter of this right triangle, and we're going to talk about how to find the area. Now, I've taken a right triangle here and labeled it with sides. So we know that the bottom here is 3 feet, and a lot of times we'll call the bottom here the base. And you can see the side here that's straight up is 4 feet, and we're going to call this side here the height. And the long side here, which is 5 feet, it's always going to be the longest side in a right triangle. It has kind of a fancy name. We call it the hypotenuse. It barely fits. Hypotenuse. Now, in order to find the perimeter of a right triangle, really super simple. Remember we talked about finding the perimeter of any shape is just taking the sides, so we have 4 feet, 3 feet, and 5 feet, and adding them because it's just around the outside. So when I'm finding the perimeter of this right triangle, I'm just going to add 3 plus 4, which is 7. And I'm going to add 7 plus 5, which is 12. And I always need to put units on the end. So I know that the perimeter of that right triangle is 12 feet. If there's 3 sides, all you have to do is just add those 3 pieces together. Now, when it comes to the area of that right triangle, we have to remember to think about something that we already know. And one thing that we already know is how to find the area of a square or a rectangle. So you may notice that a right triangle looks like half of a square or a rectangle. So what we can do is we can actually add another triangle, put it together, and make it into a rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a dotted line here. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good enough. And you may notice that now we have a right triangle here, which is the first one we had. And we also have a right triangle up here, which is the second one. Together, those 2 right triangles make a rectangle. Now, the reason this is important is because we already know how to find the area of a rectangle. So we can do that. So to find the area of a rectangle, remember we needed 2 things. We needed to know the length and the width. And we have those 2 things in 4 and 3 right there on the outside. Now in this case, because I told you earlier that we'd call those the base and the height, generally with a triangle that's what we call them. So in this case what we're going to do is we're going to take the height here and we're going to multiply by the base, which is going to be 4 times 3, which is 12. Now remember, need to remember when we're talking about area, we're talking about 12 square feet. And we've talked about how big a square foot is. It's about the size of one of those tiles in our classroom. It's a square that is a foot long and a foot wide. Now, when we just found the area, when we did 4 times 3, we actually didn't find the area of this right triangle, but instead, we found the area of this entire square, both of those right triangles together. Now you may remember that we don't want the area of that whole, not square, rectangle, sorry, that whole rectangle. We just want the area of this one right triangle here. Now, because that right triangle is half of that entire rectangle, what we're going to do is we're going to divide that area in 2. So we're going to divide it in 2 parts. Or one really easy way to do that is we can just take 12 divided by 2, which is 6. So the area of the triangle is going to be 6 square feet, which is exactly half of the area of the rectangle. So a really easy way then to find the area of a right triangle is to just take the base and the height of the triangle and multiply them together and divide that by 2. Now you'll notice that we actually never needed this diagonal side here. We never needed that at all when we were finding the area of that right triangle, so keep that in mind. So just in the future, remember, when you're finding the perimeter, all we really need to do is to do just like this and add together those sides. When we're finding the area, you're going to take the base times the height, and then you're always going to need to remember to divide that by 2. And one easy way we can write that is base times height divided by 2, and that's going to help us to find the area of a right triangle. So hopefully that helps you to be able to find the perimeter and area of a right triangle.